Now, for years, we've watched as venal forces, I want to put venal in boldface and italics because it's truly venal. Venal forces lined up against Donald Trump. They punished him with impeachments, sham civil suits, baseless indictments, all politically motivated. And it was all because he wouldn't play nice with the swamp. All he wanted to do was make America great again. But that in and of itself, that was a threat to the gang that likes to run Washington without accountability. But Trump's not the only one being pummeled for daring to stand up for the voiceless. Because a similar dynamic is at play in New York City at the trial of Daniel Penny, an American who refused to sit back and do nothing when others were threatened. Remember last May, we covered it at the time, Penny saw Jordan Neely on the subway, and witnesses say Neely was screaming like a maniac at other passengers, actually threatening to kill the other passengers. Now, Penny didn't wait for someone to get hurt. He sprung into action, tackling Neely and restraining him until police got there. Neely went unconscious and later died. The NYPD hauled Penny in for questioning.
Some guy came in, he's like, whipped his jacket off, and he's like, I'm gonna kill everybody, I can go to prison forever, I don't care, I don't do this. At that point, I looked to the person next to me like, hey, just hang on to this phone for me. I had my headphones in and took it off, and just kind of like grabbed him from behind, because he came in, just to like, because he was acting like a lunatic, like a crazy person. So, and he was rolling around the floor, and at that point the train stopped. I was like, someone call the cops, and he's still like rolling around, still going crazy. Had two other guys kind of help me, just kind of keep him from going nuts.
No, you notice who wasn't sitting next to Penny in that room? I don't believe, unless I'm missing something. A lawyer. Why did he think he needed a lawyer, right? But now we see the line of questioning shows that they were after something else, proof that this Good Samaritan was guilty of a crime.
I'm not a confrontational guy, and I'm not out here like trying to attack people, you know.
But he was making enough of a scene that you noticed him, and then you probably would have noticed if he put his hands on someone.
But I didn't.
Okay.
Yeah, he waived his right to counsel because he just only protected people on the subway. But of course, Democrats will almost always side with thugs against patriots, as some did in this case.
No one should really be strangled to death for acting up on a subway or performing on a subway.
We see a black homeless person who is scary because that person's hungry or thirsty, and it's okay to dehumanize the person who's in need of help or who's simply trying to protect themselves.
I also find it very strange that people will come to the aid of an accused rather than come to the support of the judicial system.
Okay, I don't even know what that means, but what if their son or daughter or wife had been on that subway car? Do they not care about how regular people feel threatened every day of the week in these cities? Now, I know congressmen, most at least, have security. But most regular people, they don't have security.
Regular, everyday people need to be safe. If they're harassing people who are vulnerable and nobody gets involved, it could create a dangerous situation for a lot of people.
The MTA should be concerned about the issues that is happening once they're on board of their train and their service. So possibly look into having some sort of added security.
What are we doing? Why are we not prosecuting some of these guys or getting them off the streets or going to, if they need mental help, get some help for them?
No, because we're prosecuting the people who stood up to fight the people who are threatening other Americans. And of course, Alvin Bragg, DA Alvin Bragg, as he did with Trump, ignored the evidence, and he goes forward and he charges Daniel Penny with second-degree manslaughter and criminally negligent homicide. Now, as this trial plays out, it becomes more apparent how ludicrous these charges are. Almost all of the other passengers, and when they were interviewed, recalled how Neely had menacingly approached and yelling about being hungry and wanting to go back to jail. One witness testified that she was filled with a sense of relief when Daniel Penny took Neely to the ground, saying, "This was the first time in my life where I, took a moment because I thought I was going to die." And all the evidence suggests that Neely was mentally unstable. Dr. Alexander Bradley, a forensic psychiatrist for the defense, testified that Neely had mental health breakdowns, including delusions that the rapper Tupac Shakur was using him to change the world and that he heard the devil's voice. Neely's toxicology report also found synthetic marijuana in his system. But this is where Alvin Bragg's focus is: prosecuting a brave man who risked his own life for others. And frankly, when you think about it, how bad things are in the New York subway right now, it's like a shining light in this crumbling, crime-ridden subway system. And when he's not targeting the city's heroes for prosecution, Alvin Bragg is trying to, of course, imprison President Trump.
In regard to the President-elect Trump's sentencing, do you want a sentence to be rendered before inauguration, or would you rather it come after his term?
We have significant competing constitutional issues, the office of the presidency and all the obligations that come with that, on the one hand, and on the other hand, the sanctity of a jury voice, a jury that has spoken and rendered a guilty verdict.
When any of you out there think law school and passing the bar is difficult, remember Alvin Bragg did both. So when he continues to funnel the city's resources into these baseless prosecutions, the real violent criminals are still roaming about the streets, terrorizing people. Just this week, 3 were killed during a random stabbing spree. The suspect, 51-year-old Ramon Rivera, has an extensive rap sheet spanning 3 states. And Gary Worthy, a convicted felon with 17 priors, get this, only including murder, is accused of holding up 2 local businesses before reportedly shooting NYPD officer Rich Wong and an innocent bystander. Officer Wong fired back, killing Worthy. These stories like this, part of the reason why Trump made gains in certain parts of these blue cities. Manhattan seems, to be lost, still lost, but the Bronx, Queens, Staten Island, obviously I already know about that, but made huge gains. And people have had enough. This is just warped, a warped version of justice. And where the heroes are prosecuted and the villains set free.
But this just in, Ellen DeGeneres has flown the coop. Ellen and her wife Portia have decided to, quote, get the hell out. So they bought a castle in England. They don't have to watch Trump on TV anymore. They just have to watch Piers Morgan. So for Democrats that can't afford English castles, what's next? The majority of the country thinks they're crazy, with the DEI, sex changes for illegals, and to fund the police stuff. It took Democrats decades to build a good reputation and just 4 years to ruin it. Meanwhile, Trump's the new normal. He's popular, and his transition's getting high marks. Even the media is getting ready for Joe to go.
Increasingly clear, it is Donald Trump's world, and we're just living in it. The most powerful rocket ever built, blasting off from Texas yesterday, with its creator, Elon Musk, looking on with the president-elect of the United States. All of this as President Biden prepares to step off the world stage. Here he was in Brazil earlier this week, the first sitting president to visit the Amazon, seeming to wander into the jungle. He missed this group photo of the G20 leaders, apparently due to a scheduling conflict. He is stepping off the stage as this made-for-TV cast of characters steps on stage for the new Trump administration.
Rockets are heading to Mars, government agencies are about to get gutted, and the deep state's lost its juice. Trump's been sending their calls straight to voicemail. The FBI has been begging to help vet his cabinet picks, but 47's like, no thanks. You're not going to find dirt on my people, blackmail them, and leak it to the Post. And Trump's been cutting Biden's State Department completely out of conversations with world leaders. Remember last time Trump's talks with Mexico and Australia were leaked? So that's not happening either. The food lobbyists all see the tide coming in. Behind the scenes, Big Sugar's already plotting to have their way with RFK. Just throttle Maha. A majority of the country's obese, and Big Sugar is going to do whatever it takes to keep it that way. And it's a new day over at The View. The ladies have to think before they speak.
How could you nominate someone with allegations of child trafficking trafficking across state lines and having sex with a 17-year-old?
Hey, Sonny, you have a legal note.
I do have a legal note. Thank you, Whoopi. Matt Gaetz has long denied all allegations, calling the claims, quote, invented, and saying in a statement to ABC News that this false smear following a 3-year criminal investigation should be viewed with great skepticism, that DOJ investigation was closed with no charges being brought.
Even if Sonny Hostage doesn't respect the Trump team, ABC network brass does. They're owned by Disney. They already tangled with DeSantis and lost. This incoming administration isn't going to let companies use the airwaves for free to slander. The media is on its heels for the first time. Their audience is checked out, and if they aren't fair, they're going to get called out. And their industry can't afford the fight. If they're going to talk about Gaetz, then it's only fair we talk about the slush fund that Congress has and has settled for hundreds of sexual misconduct allegations. The stack of NDAs is a mile high. Do we really want to be pointing fingers here? Trump says this. This is what the radical left lunatics do to people. They dirty them up, they destroy them, and then they spit them out. They're trying that right now with some great American patriots who are only trying to fix the mess that the Democrats have made for our country. We will win. J.D. Vance is shepherding cabinet picks through the Capitol and making sure senators get to know these guys and do the right thing.
How have your meetings been today, sir?
They've been going great. Senators have been giving me a lot of good advice. I'm looking forward to a hearing. Folks have been very supportive. They've been saying we're going to get a fair process. So it's a great day of momentum for the Trump-Vance administration.
At Mar-a-Lago, confidence is high. They think all the nominees are getting through. And they're willing to spend political capital to do it. And once they're in, it'll look like a coalition government with 3 factions. He has America First nationalists, establishment conservatives, and dissident Democrats. So while Trump's putting the finishing touches on this movement, you're not going to believe how Biden celebrated his 82nd birthday. Giving the Presidential Medal of Freedom to the chief of Planned Parenthood. It looks like he's grabbing her against her will there. And if you look closely, he has a bandage on the finger of his left hand. Must have gotten injured in the Amazon.
Welcome to Hannity, and tonight we begin with a quick flashback starring Gwen Walz, the wife of Kamala's bizarre and very weird running mate, Tim Walz, during a campaign speech that went viral, frankly, for all the wrong reasons. Walz accidentally got something right. Take a look.
What are we going to do? We're going to turn the page. Oh, pretty good. Do it again. We're going to turn the page. And we're going to turn the page. And you know what else that looks like? Bye-bye. Bye-bye, Donald Trump. We are turning the page.
Remember she bragged about opening the windows during the rioting in the summer of 2020 just to smell burning rubber. Very bizarre. We're going to turn the page. Do it at home. Anyway, consider the page turned away from the insufferable elites who treat voters, all of you, like idiots. We are garbage, and censor our speech and force woke politics down our throats. The same elites who try to abolish meritocracy, phase out American exceptionalism. The same elites that weaponized our system of justice, politicized our military, our schools, our FBI, our intelligence agencies. They even politicized our roads. Remember Pothole Pete spent $1 billion to prevent highways from becoming racist. Not making it up. But the insanity is soon coming, thankfully, to an end. Under Donald Trump, America's core principles, life, liberty, the pursuit of happiness, it will be restored. Limited government, constitutional order will be restored. The all-powerful, far-left, bureaucratic state will face a day of reckoning, and you, the American people, will be free to create, to build, to speak your minds once again. This will usher in a new age of innovation, prosperity. The American people, frankly, are more than ready. We're a little sick and tired of what we've been living through. Take a look at the numbers. A new Harvard-Harris poll has Donald Trump's approval at over 54%. That is well above Joe Biden. Another poll found that Donald Trump's popularity among young people has surged a whopping 20 points. A third poll determined that a majority of Americans approve of Donald Trump's transition. And take a look at your screen. Shocker. Op-ed, New York Times, they're now urging prosecutors to end all of the bogus criminal cases against Donald Trump. Hey, welcome aboard. They finally figured it out. Why? Democracy's unlimited verdict on these prosecutions was rendered by voters on Election Day, more than 76 million voters. Even Charlemagne the God, who endorsed Kamala Harris, thinks the cases need to be dropped and dropped once and for all. Take a look.
Hey, New York City, just throw the whole thing away.
I don't understand why they playing with that, man.
Cut it out.
Just stop it. We're going to wait 4 years.
Who we fooling?
Yeah, leave it alone.
Nothing's going to happen to Trump. And nobody, wants nobody wants that retribution that he made the liver hanging over their head. He won the election. It is what it is. Cut ties, 7 your losses, throw the whole case away. Come on. I
don't know why they playing with him.
Who we fooling, y'all?
Nope.
Who we fooling? Like, seriously.
All right, you see what's happening here? Democrats threw every single thing they had at Donald Trump for 9 years. Lawfare, lawsuits, censorship, Russian disinformation, FISA spying, smears, slander, besmirchment from the entire legacy media mob. Hysteria from celebrity Hollywood elitists. $1.5 billion spent in 15 weeks. None of it worked. None of it. They lost. They lost the White House, they lost the Senate, they lost the House. And maybe the most damning of all, they lost the plot. Just listen to this far-left Washington Post MSDNC contributor. Take a look.
How about this? Republicans want to kill your kids. It's actually true. If you're going to oppose vaccinations, if you're going to stop breakthrough medical research, if you're going to allow minors and all sorts of people to get semi-automatic weapons, which they use to shoot up schools, well, then you are responsible for kids' health and death, unfortunately.
At this point, it's funny. Yeah, what are you going to do? The radical extreme left, that is the modern Democratic Party, has become untethered with all reality. They are the party of self-righteous coastal elites. I've been saying this for some time. Republicans are now the party of hardworking men and women that make this country great. They're sick of high taxes, unlimited regulation, and everything woke. Just look at the left's religious zeal surrounding trans people. It's one thing to treat all of God's children with respect. I believe in the golden rule. Democrats, they want biological males competing in girls' sports. They want them to have access to girls' locker rooms and bathrooms. They want tampons in boys' bathrooms. The right to offer minors gender-affirming care without any parental consent. The government knows better. Taxpayer-funded sex change operations, really? For illegal immigrants and convicts? We had to fight that this election? They want to tell you what cars and trucks you can drive and not drive. They want to tell you what refrigerator you can buy or not buy, what washer and dryer and air conditioner you can have, and not give you the choices of a big gulp, not a good idea, or a large, drink, or a McDonald's, super big meal, or quarter pounder with cheese meal, which I happen to love occasionally, but I'm very careful about my diet. Look, let the American people, they want to be left alone. And according to the left, you're crazy or evil or garbage if you think there's anything wrong with all of this madness. But the bullies on the left, they no longer have power, they no longer have influence, and common sense, thank God above, is being restored. Take a look.
For anybody who doesn't know my well-established record on this issue, let me be unequivocally clear. A man is a man, and a woman is a woman, and a man cannot become a woman. That said, I also believe, that's what Scripture teaches, what I just said, but I also believe that we treat everybody with dignity. And so we can do and believe all those things at the same time. And I wanted to make that clear for everybody because there's lots of questions. But that's where I stand. I've stood there my whole life, and those are facts.
That is Speaker Johnson announcing that he will enforce the Capitol Hill bathroom policy based on biological sex, as a new trans member of Congress is now set to be sworn in. Now, this after Congresswoman Nancy Mace drafted a resolution mandating that House facilities correspond to biological sex. In response, the oh-so-compassionate left had a meltdown. Congresswoman Mace targeted with vile online attacks, including a steady stream of even death threats. On TikTok, one user threatening to grab her hair, drag her face to the floor, repeatedly bash her head into the ground until she's dead. I hope the police arrested the person. The radicalized Democratic Party has turned into a hateful, vengeful, isolated, closed-minded cabal that seeks to shut down debate and punish detractors, the very thing they claim the right wants to do, and we do not. The ladies of The View can spew all the hate they want all day long, 24/7, who cares? All while worshiping at the altar of victimhood. Democratic Congressman Seth Moulton, one of the few people that gets it, told Bloomberg that his party is banning discussions and that Democrats, quote, have this arrogant culture where if you don't meet every ideological litmus test established by our own party's left wing, then you're not only wrong, you are a bad person. Meanwhile, they have no solutions. They don't know how to govern. The party's consumed with infighting. Take a look at this panel of Democrats armed with our friend Piers Morgan. Can't make this up.
Look, I debated Professor Lichtman before. I told him his theories about the keys were absurd. I was right. He was wrong. I said he'd lose his keys.
No, you were
Couldn't
not
find
right,
them
and
before
I
the
was
election.
not wrong, and that's a cheap shot, and I won't stand for it.
Well, who won, brother?
You should not be
Who
taking
won?
cheap
Who
shots
won?
at me.
Who won?
You want to make your
you
point,
live
make your
in
point.
a total
Don't make it
world of
personal.
denial. You got it wrong.
Say
you were
whatever you want.
preposterously and stupidly wrong. So, okay, all right. Can I just
Don't
finish
call
a thought
stupid
ever on this show?
No, not if you're
Okay,
personally.
well,
I
you proved
admitted
it.
I was wrong. I don't need you to call me stupid.
Okay.
Can I just say,
What
it's
kind
great
of
to see
nonsense
you
is that?
Democrats
Yeah, I
all
know.
getting
Who
along
taught
so
you
well.
manners?
It's lovely to see a
one
post-election come together again.
We're just one
Alan,
right now.
Just for the record, Lichtman was wrong, but the real winner in that debate is Piers Morgan, who loves a verbal altercation. He won the whole night. The good news tonight, America is turning the page, and while Democrats try to pick up the pieces of their broken party, the freedom of thought and expression, along with common sense, thankfully, thanks to all of you, by the way, that took the time to get informed, to go out, to vote, to embrace a system that maybe some of you resisted, voting early, voting by mail. You know what? You have given so many of us in America hope that we will end the decline at our borders and the violence and the criminal activity. We'll restore our economy. We'll lower energy prices. We will restore law and order. And America will also be respected around the world.
So how about that rocket launch yesterday, huh? Elon Musk and President Trump watched the Starship take off from a city called Boca Chica, which is Spanish for small mouth. Thank God they didn't leave from Los Butthole. But while the incoming president celebrated the rocket taking off to cheering crowds, the outgoing president took off as well to a different kind of clamor. Listen.
Mr. President, happy early birthday! For your birthday, will you talk to us, sir? As a gift to the press, will you please talk to us? Mr. President, President Biden! Please, we haven't heard from you all trip! Mr. President!
You know, usually when people scream at Joe like that, they're saying, sir, that's a houseplant, not a toilet. But why was he in such a hurry? Maybe he really had to go. Literally.
President Biden! Please, we haven't heard from you all trip! Mr. President! Mr.
So, it's a tale of two takeoffs. One is a ride to space, another a ride to the rest home. But Trump isn't traveling alone. The world seems to be along for the ride. It's funny, just a few weeks ago, Trump was a threat to world peace, when the only threat we really faced was Joe Biden mistaking our children for dinner. But now foreign leaders are suddenly making nice. Australia's ambassador to America had previously called Trump the most destructive president in history. But now he's congratulating him and looking forward to working closely with Trump. No wonder the Aussies invented the boomerang. Up in Canada, their first trans prime minister, Justin Trudeau, suddenly cracking down on unchecked immigration. He was talking tough there for a while until somebody showed him this picture. Now, Trudeau so scared he started wearing whiteface. Look it up. Down in Mexico, lefty President Claudia Sheinbaum wouldn't even acknowledge Trump's candidacy on Election Day. Sheinbaum. Mexico has a Jewish president. Maybe she'll agree to Trump building a Wailing Wall. You know, that joke doesn't deserve you. Then Trump said he would make public the intelligence that America had on Mexican politicians in bed with cartels. Suddenly, Sheinbaum's cracking down on her own border now. But soon, Claudia might be welcoming 10 million people who should look familiar. Get ready for an influx of gangbangers, drug dealers, and even worse, washed-up celebs. So Trump's triggering lefty foreign leaders like a quarter-pounder at a PETA rally. But is it all on Trump? As he himself has said, they haven't been after him, they've been after you, and he's just in the way. And the truth is, it's you who's had enough. It just took Trump to make it clear. The world gets it. Daddy's home, and it's time to clean up your mess. And you can't hide behind a legacy media, which is deader than the battery in Rosie O'Donnell's back trimmer. But really, the world wants this. The world wants this. They just needed someone to rip the Band-Aid off. It wasn't going to be Joe or Kamala. Joe lacks the upper body strength, and Kamala doesn't have enough accents to please the whole world. But everyone knew the planet was screwed. Hell, even the bad guys are now picking up their toys and crawling back under their rocks. Qatar has just confirmed that Hamas leaders are no longer there. Maybe they're hiding somewhere safe. Perhaps in Rashida Tlaib's mustache. The truth is, for things to operate in the world, someone has to stand up once in a while and say, wrap it up, guys. This is enough. That guy's Trump. But he's got all of us, too. No wonder the world's scared. It might be the one thing they've ever gotten right.
Hey, Sean Hannity here. Hey, click here to subscribe to Fox News YouTube page and catch our hottest interviews and most compelling analysis. You will not get it anywhere else.